Hi people, it's me Anja, my pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new reading vlog. I'm currently traveling with my family in Jamaica, as we always do. And second of all, I'm currently reading Mehta's romance revenge plot. I'm so sorry if I've mispronounced that. Please correct me on what the correct pronunciation is. This book is a YA contemporary following a young Indian main character who is trying to get her crush to notice her, and her crush is naturally like the most popular guy in school. But from what I understand from the synopsis, he's not going to be her endgame love interest. I think that her nemesis is instead. And the thing about that relationship is that typically I don't really enjoy enemies to lovers or academic rivals to lovers in straight contemporary settings, because it's always the same thing. It's always the guy like harboring a crush on this girl for the last 3 years or whatever, but he's like deflecting or projecting or something that he doesn't actually like her in that way, so he acts like indifferent towards her, or that he dislikes her or whatever. You know how that goes. So I'm expecting to rate this book 3 stars. You know what I mean? I have very low expectations. But anyway, Happy New Year. That's my update. Hi, so I have a few updates. First of all, I'm sorry if you can hear the music from the background. Second of all, I know I just said that I dislike academic rivals to lovers, so I'm really eating my words here, but I'm really enjoying their banter. It's quite cute. Third of all, sometimes I think I'm too mature or wise or old to read these YA contemporary stories, because like I just said, typically they're often the same thing over and over again, and sometimes readers like enjoy that sameness, which is totally fine. But like for me, sometimes I think again that I'm too mature and too wise and too old to read YA contemporaries, because for example in this story, I know that this Indian main character doesn't necessarily need like validation from a white man to feel good about herself, to feel desirable or wanted romantically, you know what I mean? Like I know that, but she doesn't, you know what I mean? Like I think that she's navigating lots of internalized racism, I think. So anyway, all that to say, I'm enjoying this book so far. Again, I think I'm still gonna rate it 3 stars, but maybe it'll be higher, who knows? So yeah, there's that. Hello, so I'm really eating my words here. I am really eating my words here. And with that, I'm like 67% of this book right now. I'm really enjoying the conversations or the topics surrounding like assimilation and code switching. I just really appreciate that. I think that more rom-coms, like the movies, should talk about that. You know what I mean? Like for example, Prom Pact is one of my favorite rom-coms, and I typically don't really enjoy rom-coms like the movies in general. But one thing that I wished Prom Pact had kind of spoken about was the diversity on screen. Does that make any sense? Like there was diversity on screen with the characters, like skin colors and races and stuff, but it wasn't like talked about within the context of the plot or the writing. It was just there. Does that make any sense? But like on the other hand, I understand that like in white rom-coms and they're like the most popular iconic rom-coms, their skin color also isn't mentioned either. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Anyway, I don't know if that was meant to be a parallel or anything like that, but anyway, does anyone have any diverse rom-com movies that I should watch? Preferably like queer or POC or both, or disabled representation. So anyway, I digress. The point is, I'm enjoying this book much more than I thought I would. Hi people, so I have an update. First of all, I finished my book and I rated it 3 stars as expected. I don't really know if this would be super interesting to you, but I was wondering if anyone would like a video where I talk about what constitutes as a 3-star rating versus a 4-star versus a 5-star. I've just always thought that it would be redundant information, since I'm assuming that most of my audience are readers too, so I'm thinking that your rating system is similar to mine as well, even though I know that every reader is different. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But anyway, I'm currently reading The Cruel Prince, which, if you didn't know, is a YA fantasy that I actually DNF'd back in 2019 when this book first came out, and before it was really like as popular as it is now. But like, I like this book, and I'm definitely going to take more time with it and more dedication, just because I have more time right now than I did back then, if that makes any sense, because I don't have any like upcoming work shifts or anything like that, because obviously I'm on vacation. You know what I mean? Anyway, the point is, I'm enjoying this book right now, and like, I get it and I like it, but I don't know, I'm very skeptical, because sometimes when I'm reading all these objectively super popular books, they're oftentimes not as good as people say. And since this book came out earlier, and I know that this isn't always the case, but sometimes a book is very much a product of its time, if that makes any sense. Like, obviously there were diverse books back then, but I feel like there are more diverse books now, just because, like, for me, as someone who reads diversely, it's much easier and more accessible for me to read diversely than it was in 2019. I'm not saying that queer books, that POC books, that Black books didn't exist in 2019. It's just that for me, in my circles, in my areas, they're just more accessible to get now than they were then. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Anyway, all that to say, I'm a little afraid that this book will be very heteronormative and very white. That's all. So, yeah. Hi people, so I have an update, and I also wanted to clarify what I said earlier. First of all, I know that diverse books have always existed, but second of all, I think, and this may just be my perception of it, but I think that diverse books are being published so much more now than they ever were in 2019 or 2018. You know what I mean? So that's why I had that expectation of The Cruel Prince being white and heteronormative when I first started it, based on the fact that it was published in 2018. Now, of course, that is not the case, since one of the side characters has just been revealed to be bisexual. So again, I'm eating my words here, but I think that what I said earlier may also be correct. Does that make any sense? But anyway, I'm enjoying The Cruel Prince much more than I was expecting to. The world building is pretty good, like the pacing is pretty good. I'm very curious as to how Jude and Cullen are going to fall in love, because since this series is so popular on Twitter, I already know that he's going to be her love interest. I already know that they're going to, like, I don't know, get together to get married or whatever. Let's do the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? Because I hate Cullen right now. I know it's enemies to lovers, and it's actually enemies to lovers in the sense that, like, he's a dick. He's an absolute dick, and I don't want to see him ever again. I don't want to see it. I don't see the romance at all, because she also hates him too, as she should, because he's an asshole. You know what I mean? I don't see where the romantic chemistry is really gonna come about, and I'm not sure if, like, since I can't see it right now, I'm not sure if I will be able to once they do get together, whenever that happens. Does that make any sense? Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Hi people, so I finished The Cruel Prince, and I rated it 3 stars, because, like, objectively, I like the plot, I like the world building, the characters, like, make sense to me. Does that make sense? I would say the relationship dynamic that I'm the most interested in is the relationship between Jude and her twin sister. Like, the romance, like I said, I don't really buy it. I don't think they have any chemistry at all, but maybe it's because typically I don't really enjoy enemies to lovers in general as a trope, and Cullen as a character disgusts me more than anything. I don't know if that makes any sense, but anyway, since I have the time for it, I'm gonna read the sequel, The Wicked King, which, even though I rated the prequel 3 stars, I'm probably also going to rate this book 3 stars, which may seem like a waste of time, but, like, I'm still going to enjoy it, even if it's mediocre. Does that make sense? Like, there will be things that I will enjoy from it, even though overall it's a 3-star read. Does that make any sense? I don't know if it does or not, but anyway, maybe I'm just lying to myself. Maybe I'm just lying to myself and I should DNF it and read something else, but like I don't know what else to read. You know what I mean? There's that as well. Like I don't know what else to read, and I know what I'm going to rate this book rather than starting something new and hating it even more. Does that make any sense? It's like I'm settling for what I know will be a mediocre read rather than trying something new and risking reading something worse, even though there's also a chance that it could also be better as well. I don't know. I do that a lot in life when it comes to books, when it comes to people in general. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to read this book. Let's see if it's good. Hi people, so a bit of an update. First of all, I took a bit of a shower because I was sick of my hair looking like the carrot lady from Wallace and Gromit. I'm not sure if that's a reference that everyone will really understand, but I'll put a photo up here of what she looks like. Because like, technically I've heard that movie flopped in the United States, but in my household, it was quite popular. And at the time, as a child, like it scared me, but as an adult, I think it's so clever, I think it's so well done, and I haven't seen the sequel yet, but I should this year. But anyway, second of all, my second update is that I've decided not to start The Wicked King, and instead I'll be reading Some Like It Cold, just because 2025 is all about taking risks. Like, obviously there's a chance that The Wicked King could be better than 3 stars, but historically, whenever I start a series and I rate the first one 3 stars, the second one tends to be either just as good as the first one or worse. You know what I mean? Whereas with Some Like It Cold, there's a chance that I will enjoy this book more than 3 stars, because historically, I've praised the author for 2 of her middle-grade contemporary books that I've really enjoyed. There is one of her books that's more of like an urban fantasy, I believe, and it's the start of a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken, that I rated 3 stars. But overall, I have pretty high expectations for this book. It's a YA contemporary following 2 main characters, I believe, but one of them is autistic, which I love. Like, I've always loved her autism representation in the past, and as an autistic main character myself, I love it when more stories feature neurodivergent protagonists. But anyway, this book is like a small town romantic contemporary. I think it's set around the holidays as well, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I'm really excited to start it, so I'll see you later. So technically I have 3 updates. First of all, I finished Some Like It Cold and I rated it 5 stars, because that's what happens when you take a risk. Sometimes you find a new favorite, because I was thinking that all of my now established favorite authors have been accumulated over time, and at one point in time they were all completely new to me authors, and I took a risk then. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it pays off. I'll be talking about this book later on in my next recent reads video, possibly, when I get home in a few days. So that review will obviously be more detailed. Second of all, I think I want to end this reading vlog here. I know it's a little shorter than previous reading vlogs in the past. But third of all, my period is approaching. I'm not exactly sure when it will strike, but in the next few days. So I can just feel it. I can feel the upcoming fatigue, the smell, etc., etc. So with that said, I will be editing this reading vlog here. But again, I just wanted to quickly clarify what I said earlier when I was talking about diverse books and how they've always existed, but how my expectations were set with The Cruel Prince because of when it was published and the amount of diverse books that I was reading around that time. And I don't know specifically like the numbers surrounding how many more diverse books have been published now versus 5-6 years ago. Like, I don't know actually if more diverse books have been published now versus then, because I don't have access to those numbers, to the quantity, you know what I mean? But in my circles, I think that more diverse books have been more accessible to me now versus then. You know what I mean? I feel so much more easier to find. Although maybe that has to do with me and less to do with the industry itself, because I've been more intentional about it. Intentional about finding diverse authors and stuff and searching for them than I was in 2018, if that makes any sense. So anyway, my point is diversity will be found for those who search for it. But anyway, as I was saying, I'm gonna end this video here because I'm tired and I'm going to bed. So anyway, in conclusion, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the koala emoji. Thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.